Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Katherine Kelly. I am the founder of the Alignable group, The Soul of Healing. And my main mission for this group is to bring you all together to understand the different modalities, understand different practitioners. And doing these interviews has been a lot of fun, not only because I selfishly get to know people even more, but because I get to help you understand what other people do as well. And that is number one about collaboration, is just understanding at least enough about what they do so that you can refer to them, you can go to them yourselves, you can do whatever you need to do in order to bring back together. Do you need me to start over?
No, no, I just thought it was so dark. I thought,
Okay.
but it looked like it was just going to be on the screen.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, we will just keep going here. Um,
Sorry.
this is one of the other things I love about this. We both have dogs. We were talking about the fact that this might be a little dog interruption, but that's okay. So I want to bring to you today Mark Bottinick. I have had several conversations with him, and he's a joy to interact with. So I think this is going to be a fun interview. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you what he does, how he evolved into the person he is, and we'll kind of go from there. And we're just going to do what we normally do and just ask questions back and forth. So, Mark, I'm going to turn this to you and let you kind of introduce yourself, and we'll let that get us started.
Okay, thanks. Uh, I'm a social worker. I have an MSW. I spent over 20 years in the public mental health system. I ran a public mental health clinic, and we specialize in treating very hard to treat, people with severe mental illness that required us to go out into the field and help them in the community. And I also ran a partial hospitalization program. So I have kind of a conventional background, but really early in my career, I was introduced to thought field therapy, like 1997. And that was before there was any other energy psychology modality. And I tried it, and it worked amazingly well. And I was really hungry for something that would produce fast, obvious results. So I started using it all the time.
Can
And
you
I've
give a snapshot of what thought field medicine is? And because
thought field
there's
therapy
yeah.
is the idea that problems are exist in your thought energy field, and that you can alter them by tapping on acupressure points, while your mind is also tuned into something that, the problem, for example. Um, the problem could be a memory, it could be an unwanted belief, an unwanted behavior, an urge, a wish, a desire, anything that shows up in the mind.
Right.
And when I first started out, and it produces very rapid results. Like in the session, you do the work, it takes 3 minutes, and then the person says, "Oh, I don't feel that anymore."
Mhm.
And I mean, I've used that to get someone over a phobia in like 7 minutes. It just can be really crazy fast.
Mhm.
That evolved into EFT, emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping or meridian tapping. And what the difference between EFT and TFT is, EFT is just simplified. So you don't have to diagnose exactly where to tap, in what order. You just say, okay, follow this protocol, tap here, tap here, tap here. So that I frankly like that better. It was less work, and my clients could actually learn to do it by themselves, which was, a great advantage for them. And then I learned tapas acupressure technique. Looks like this: middle finger, third eye position, thumb and ring goes here, hand on the back of the head. It's more of a narrative kind of thing. So and so had this problem. I'm sending love to all the parts that think it's not safe to let this go, things like that. And what I found with all this work is it works very quickly. The effects are profound. They're lasting. it can be really transformative work. And now that I've been in this for so many years, you know, I I've learned that you can really when I started, I was doing kind of like symptom alleviation. Oh, you're afraid of X, so let me get you over your fear of X. And now I'm like, okay, what's it like to be you as a person? How do you vibrate when are you like or ah? And like, oh, so you're a little let's figure out how you got that way. And let's kind of do some renovation in the mind.
Mhm.
And so that you can literally transform yourself and how you vibrate, what it's like to be you in your skin, what belief system you walk through the world with, what behavioral patterns you have. Like it all can be transformed. And the hardest part of this is just figuring out what needs to be transformed, because the work, the techniques work so well that when oh, here's a belief that's not serving me, you can really get rid of it quickly.
Mhm.
Um,
Love it.
and I can do like a dozen interventions in an hour. And then I expect that when I see the person in a week, they're going to tell me how their life is significantly different.
Right. Right. One of the
And
things
it gives me hope to work with people who have really complicated, very difficult situations.
yes. And I want to throw this in here. One of the things I wrote down, you used the word renovation, and I think you said thought renovation. I wrote down energetic renovation because, and this is one of the reasons you and I connected in the beginning, is that, I do a lot of soul work, and the soul is really energetic in every essence of, I don't use the term soul as a religious term. I use it as basically the essence of who we are. But I love that whole idea of energetic renovation, because soul work is really about going in and renovating what has been wounded or broken or fallen apart, or whatever words you want to use. And it's, to me, I also say, it's not enough for me to help someone heal. I want to help them evolve, meaning I want to help them become conscious enough of how they got past that wound, so that they can empower themselves to have agency and keep going and keep,
Mhm.
renovating on their own, kind of like you said with the tapping. But then also, it's this constant, to me, it's a constant, it's a maintenance. You have to, the human condition is messy. It piles up on us. And so if you have the tools, if you have some know-how of, wow, how did I renovate the last time, and how do I do this again? It can take you further. And it just sounds like your own evolution was building upon one modality onto another, until you were able
Mhm.
to dive in and really understand how you could get in there and literally like renovate that energetic system. I don't know if you
Mhm.
would agree
Mhm.
with that.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm still a lifelong learner
Yeah.
in this.
Yeah.
I'm constantly taking trainings in energy work. If I go when I walk the dogs, I'm often listening to some podcast about energy work.
Right.
Now I have moved past, I shouldn't say past tapping, but I don't do tapping so much anymore. I'm now using techniques that really just use language to make the change.
Mhm.
So I use a technique called logosynthesis.
Okay.
So I tell and by the way, this is really well accepted by clients.
Yeah.
And clients are hungry for something that works. They've had therapy for 10 years, nothing's changed, and they want something that works. And sometimes I introduce them to these techniques even during the initial phone call while we're determining if we're a match. And then they're like, oh yeah, okay, let me get my calendar. That I can feel that.
Mhm.
So now I'm using something called logosynthesis, which uses 3 sentences to shift things. So I tell my clients, I conceive of your mind as an energy field encoded with information. And I don't know if this is true. I only know that if I use this as a model, I get great results. So I'm not asking anyone to believe anything. Just buy into the model and see if it works. And I'm positive that I don't have everything right about the model. I mean, it's my model is crude and no doubt got to be wrong in many respects, but it still works.
Mm-hmm.
So I explain you can use your intention to connect to the information in your field. So you can use your intention to connect to all the times my mother did XYZ, all the times my dad said XYZ to me. And in 3 sentences, shift the energy or shift the information in your field around all those memories so that in the time it takes you to say 3 sentences, all those memories feel differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not unusual to go from, oh, that's very disturbing to it's not disturbing at all, in 3 sentences. If I don't get there in 3 sentences, then I have them tune in what's bothersome. And it's often like a belief about it. She shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. And then we treat that belief, and then the distress goes down further.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're basically dismantling the layers of information that are faulty to the person's system.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm thinking is, what's the right order to do this in? Like, what's foundational? I want, like, first of all, they have to think it's safe to make these changes.
Right.
I have to help them release the belief that it's not safe to heal this stuff.
Mm-hmm. What happens when you run into someone who is resistant or who doesn't really want to change the belief, but they want to change the discomfort? Or does that happen for you?
No, it happens a lot. I mean, then you kind of go back to just plain old therapy where you're just kind of trying to, get someone to see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually looking for if there's a belief that's blocking them from, like, if I let this go, I'll let my guard down.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'll be willing to let go of that belief. They'll be willing to treat that belief, and then they'll be willing to treat the next thing. Sometimes I'll do that TAT technique, Tapas acupressure technique, and they'll agree to send healing love to all the parts of them that are afraid to make these changes and
Mm-hmm.
think that they need to hold on to
Mm-hmm.
all the beliefs and feelings and behaviors, etc.
Yeah, one of the things I find is that many people at first hold on to their wounds like armor. And it's terrifying for some people to change the belief because they're afraid their armor will go away. And they've believed that those wounds and that intense protection that they have is what keeps them safe. And so that's why I think it's just important for viewers to understand that, therapy is layered. It is, when they say, in Psych 101 that we are like layered like an onion, we are layered like an onion.
Yeah.
And so it's just, these different techniques are very helpful in getting at those different layers. So yeah.
So I do muscle testing.
Okay.
So when I was working with people in the office, I'd have them hold their arm out, and I would get permission and gently push down, and I could get a yes/no response. So I could ask, is there a barrier letting this fear go? Yes. Okay. It's safe to let it go. No. And then we treat the belief. It's not safe to let the fear of XYZ go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, if you don't do that, you could spend years in therapy and get get nowhere.
Circling the drain.
Because part of you wants to let it go and is going to your therapist and paying the bill, and another part of you is like, I'm not letting this go.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
with this technique, you can heal that idea that it's not safe, and then begin to make progress.
Now, I'm going to dig pretty deep here. So, what happens when, like, how do you work with someone whose identity is so wrapped up in their wound or their belief
It's
that,
a great question. Yeah. So, I mean, I was doing identity work 10 minutes ago.
good, I got it, timely.
Yeah, yeah. So it is like I hear from people, um, I was doing the thing I wanted to do, but it didn't feel like I was being authentic. You get the feeling like I'm relaxed. Well, I'm not really a relaxed person. I'm not really being me.
Hmm.
This isn't going to last because I'm not being authentic.
Hmm.
I'm faking.
Right.
And then they kind of take back the old behavior that they don't want. So logo synthesis, I said, is 3 sentences. You can narrow it after you've done it with someone enough times. It's just one sentence. I now clear. And so, I'd have someone say, I now clear the belief that I am not a person who is relaxed.
Hmm.
Um, I now clear the belief that I am a person who is uptight and nervous and hypervigilant.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then that doesn't feel so real anymore, so that they can then kind of move into this new behavior and they don't feel like they're not being themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a belief that if I heal this, also, if I heal this thing, whatever it is, I'll lose my identity and I won't be me and I won't know how to act.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I've run into clients that are so, and I work with a lot of people who have some significant mental health kind of concerns and medical concerns. And so it is interesting how the sickness personality will just become embedded in a person, and that's what they believe they are. And it is about breaking through a lot of that identity. Um, and then you also have to look at the biology behind it. And I mean, there's all different layers. That's why I talk about body, mind, and soul. But I know that the work you do, having gone through sort of some demonstrations with you, it's like I know energetically from the thought field perspective, it really is, until you get through those thoughts, you really can't do a lot of the other energetic freedom work. So it's really it's very interesting stuff.
There's another barrier that comes up frequently, that is, I will be deprived if I heal this.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So, well, you see it a lot with anger, right? Your client's angry at someone, you're trying to help them let that go, and they're like, "Do you know what that person did to me? There's no way I'm letting that go. I'm not
Got it.
letting them off the hook.
Got it.
I need the universe to see that I'm suffering. So the universe knows how bad that person was to me. And if I'm not suffering, then no harm, no foul. There was no injury, and there was. So I need to continue to suffer and provide evidence to the universe. So the universe will frown upon that person.
Got it.
So you can let all of that go by treating the belief, I will be deprived if I let this go. And I often embellish that sentence more to be, on point with the person. But it can show up when someone has an illness. I kind of normalize this for people so they don't take offense, but there's sometimes a positive aspect to being even disabled. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to go back to work and face that stress.
Right. Right.
So they would not relate to the idea I'm keeping myself sick, and I don't suggest that,
Right.
but I suggest that there could be, it's just the information in your energy field. It's not even you, it's not your essence. But you might have picked up an errant program,
Hmm.
that is causing you to not let yourself heal because you like the support, you like the attention. It's now become who you are. I'm the woman who has this problem. If
Right.
I don't have this problem, who am I?
Right.
And
Right.
so it can feel like you're giving up something, even though you desperately want to give it up.
Sure. Yeah, and that's kind of what I meant by, well, that's not kind of, it is what I meant by that identity is that somehow woundedness can penetrate so deeply that the person becomes, um, I'm going to say both programmed to believe that's who they are, as well as they receive it. They accept that that's who they are because they're getting some sort of gain out of it. And so there is a lot of dismantling and getting down to the core of who they are is often, to me, that's where my work goes, is like going to that soul. It's like helping people know who they are and embrace who they are at that depth, but you got to peel these layers away in order to get there. So
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes people see that they believe that their problem, anxiety, for example, is functional.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I get things done.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I had a client who had this process of revving himself up, is the way he put it, uh, in the face of challenges. And he could, like, his nervous system would kind of get supercharged, and he could really be quite effective until it went awry, and then next thing you know, he's got an autoimmune disorder.
Right.
It was really because everything got revved up. His
Mm-hmm.
immune system, his allergies, everything got revved up. So it took some doing to get him to fully believe this actually isn't serving me.
Mm-hmm.
I can let it go and I'll be okay. I don't need this to function. I'd be better off without it.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
he would give it up, and then the following week he'd say, "Yeah, it lasted 3 days, and then a problem happened, and I reached for it again."
Right. And I don't know what your thoughts are. This is just an observation about autoimmune illness is that, and there's hundreds of them. That's what's so fascinating. I mean, there's literally, you look at the Merck manual and there's like hundreds. There's like 450 some identified different kinds of autoimmune disorders. And so that's why it's so difficult to pinpoint which one it is for people. And there's lots of overlap. But one of the things, this is just an observation, and I've asked other practitioners this, it seems to me that people who develop autoimmune disorders generally give a lot of their own life force away. Like they don't take agency for themselves, but they often give too much. They um, kind of that external focus or locus of control. It's like they put their energy out here versus in here. I don't know if that is something that you've noticed.
I'll keep on the lookout for that. Um, what I see more, and I haven't specialized in autoimmune disorders so much, but with this guy I mentioned, we actually tuned down his autoimmune illness so that
Exactly.
he's lower on his meds.
Yeah.
He went from working only part-time to full-time. Like he's no longer identifies as an anxious guy.
Hmm.
But what I see is that, like, hypervigilance leads to autoimmune disorders. Right? It's the world isn't safe, so I need to be ramped up. I need to be overreactive. So these, the kind of person who startles when you say hello.
Right.
And
And it may be that different categories or clusters of autoimmune disorders are related to one or the other because as you're saying that, I'm thinking through some of my other clients who have autoimmune disorders, and like you said, there's that like revved up energetic system that
mhm.
that can definitely attach itself to physical health problems.
But if we were working on someone who their autoimmune illness you believe is about giving away their energy, then it's just as simple as, like, well, where'd you learn you how to give away your energy?
Exactly.
And then people, like, say, well, you know what? Now that you mention it, and they tell you some story,
Yeah.
and then you say, all right, let's go heal that. And
Yeah.
then, like, heal the first, starting with the experiences, all the times my whoever did X, all the times I felt watching this go on that such and such, I needed to pull in,
Yeah.
then heal it at the belief level, and then heal it at the behavioral level.
Yeah, you clean it out as you go, and I love that.
And
And
I'm
that's,
always asking, can you still get there? Is
yeah.
that when you think about that memory, is it you reacting to it at all?
Mhm. Yeah. One of the things, this is just my language, but one of the things that I tell people is that, because we are all energy and everything we experience is energy of one sort or another, that we can collect these, I call it energetic wounds, that our soul, that essence, that core of who we are can collect these wounds that basically are like energetic imprints on us at such a deep level. And if we don't know how, or if we, for whatever reason, choose not to release those and work through those energetic wounds will land in the body somewhere. And that's
Mhm.
where what we're talking about in many cases it's autoimmune illness, and some it's pains in the neck or the back or the hip or whatever it might be. And so getting down to the core of that essence, that belief, that wound, whatever it is, to me is the true healing, because medication won't take care of it. I mean, so it's sometimes medication will soothe it enough for us to get to that core wound, but then we've got to get in there and like really get into, okay, how did that form? Where did that energetic impression attach and take hold? And really what you're talking about is doing that from the thought level, inward, which I think is really beautiful.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
So you familiar with the book Cured by a guy named Rediger, I think.
No,
Uh,
tell me about that.
I hope I'm getting it's something like Rediger. So Harvard Medical School professor, and he somehow got on the research topic of people who had like miraculous cures.
Mm.
And such people exist. It's just that the literature doesn't discuss them because they're so far out on the bell curve that that's not where the emphasis is, right? Most people don't have miraculous cures.
Right.
Scientists don't study those who do.
Hmm.
He did. And yeah, there are many paths to, and a miraculous cure doesn't mean like you wake up on one day and it's all gone, but people being cured from illnesses that you're not supposed to get better from,
Right.
that you really, it's a death sentence. And they don't pursue conventional medicine. They might go to Brazil and go into some healing retreat, or they learn to meditate or whatever, and they become a vegetarian or whatever they do. And there's many ways, but he had five things that he identified are common. And it was like heal your immune system, heal your gut, heal your relationship with stress. The key thing was heal your identity.
Mm, interesting.
And that if people did the others but didn't heal their identity, they were less likely to survive. And those who healed their identity and didn't necessarily do the others were more likely to survive. That was the key, the crucial element.
Hmm.
So what you said is right, that you can pursue conventional medicine, but you're not healing that soul wound,
Hmm.
and then you get a relapse, a
Yeah,
reoccurrence. It shows up some other way.
right. Well, and so that's where it's all connected. And so when that whole body, mind, spirit, or body, mind, soul aspect comes in, there's different camps that deal with each, but if we could integrate them, which is really the point of this alignable group, is how do we integrate? How do we get practitioners integrating, either doing the work integratively themselves or integrating as practitioners that can work together to get to the core together as a team? That's really where, to me, the ultimate healing comes from. And that's why I love doing these interviews, to help people get a taste of what else is out there, and what else could be possible in order to help help the people that we're here to serve. And helpers go into the field because we want to help. And yet we also have to realize we don't know everything. And that's why collaboration is so important. as far as I'm concerned. I know we just have a couple minutes left. I want to, number one, ask you to share your information, how people can reach you, if there's any other anecdotal information that you think would be helpful for people to know as far as getting their feet wet and understanding what you do, and just to kind of wrap things up a little bit.
Well, anyone is welcome to reach out to me through Mark at getbeyondtalk.com. MARK at getbeyondtalk.com. And you're welcome to, there's a phone number there. You're welcome to call me or send me an email. Anyone who's interested, I would highly recommend joining the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. I'm on the board of directors now, and I think it's a fantastic organization. If you really want to be exposed to energy work, we have the leaders in the field, who are teaching at these conferences. It's fantastic experience going to our conferences. They're extraordinarily fun, soul-enriching experiences. And there's training, on video. So if you want to learn these things in a thorough, ethical manner, this is a great organization.
Great.
And anyone who's interested and wants a taste of this, I love giving this away because I have the zeal of the evangelist. Like, get on a bus with me, I might say, you want to try this?
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, we have 15 minutes. I can give you a taste of this.
Well, and what I will say about this is that's exactly what Mark did with me. He said, "Hey, I'd love to give you an example of this." And so we met a few times, and Mark is exactly as he is on this screen, very personable, very easy to converse with, and also very astute at getting in there and seeing and hearing what is going on with the person. So it's very fun to have a conversation with you. I do want to ask, just for the sake of the World Wide Web, do you work with people around the country, around the world? I mean, obviously you have to, from a license perspective with certain things, but just so people know what your breadth of reach
Well, I
is.
can certainly consult with other people who are doing this work as to, I do that. I can provide services more as a coach than a psychotherapist, unless you're in Maryland, and then I can do psychotherapy, and you can get reimbursed if you have out-of-network benefits through your insurance company. And I have a network of people, so I can, also potentially hook you up, no matter where you are in the world, because the association is an international association. I have friends abroad who do this work.
Wonderful. And that's very helpful because I know, we don't want to necessarily limit to the state we're in, but sometimes depending on the situation, we have to. But again, it sounds like, you can kind of go beyond some of the state boundaries with some of the work, like the coaching and the collaboration with consulting.
Yeah. Sometimes someone just needs to know, they just need to know where to focus, what they know the technique, but they don't know what to focus on. That's the whole thing, is knowing what to focus on. And since I've been doing this for like nearly 30 years, like all day, like it's 5 days a week for 30 years, all day.
Right.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty quick at like, oh, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
Boy, when I think back at where I started, I was kind of a clueless. I fell into therapy. I didn't know I was doing. I needed something that worked. Thank God I found this.
Yeah, and that's why I use the word evolution. I don't think anybody really lands where they think they're going to. And, but that's part of, allowing whatever is supposed to transpire to transpire. And that's where, again, universe is going to have a mind of its own and how we get there.
And this completely changed how I walk around the planet. I mean, like, this utterly has been life-changing for me.
Yeah. Well, and every practitioner that I know and actually everyone that I've interviewed for Alignable so far has said something similar that as soon as they landed on their particular modality or their particular um, gift, I'm just going to call it a gift, it opened everything up, but it also changed that person's world. And that's what makes them so excited about what they do, which is why partially I love doing these interviews because it's so fun to watch someone, I use the word alignment, to watch someone align with their higher purpose.
Mhm.
Um, but it's very rare that someone knows early on what that is. It's something that does evolve over time. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. It's been great to talk with
Great to
you.
see you again.
Anybody who would like to contact Mark, you can go to his website. He's obviously very easy to talk to, very reachable. And then I will be posting this on the Alignable and as well as on my YouTube page so people can get it. And Mark, I'm also going to send you a recording of this, a link to it in case you want to post it or use it for anything yourself. So
Thank
great.
you.
Great.
Good to see
Okay.
you. Have a great day.
Okay, you hold on. I'll talk with you in a minute. And Alignable, thank you for being Alignable. This has been a wonderful experience. I think in our group we have almost 1,700 members already, which is extraordinary. So this is really fun. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be back again with another interview soon. Take care.